All right, here we go, Yang Gang. Thank you for bearing with us. We had a little technical difficulty going on here, but we are back up live. I want to thank everyone who was in the chat live, a lively discussion, keeping us going. And now we're going to go over our Iowa battle plan. As you see here, this is our strategy to shock the world. My name is Tyler Sterling. I am the Iowa Field Director here, and I'm so very excited to have us going on here. The last time we tried this on Monday, we had over 2,100 people, and the service that we had used, actually we had so many people that we got kind of crashed some servers, and in traditional Yang Gang fashion, we rolled pretty deep. So I want to thank everyone for being on this call to hear our strategy, to hear how you can get involved, and to hear how we can just continue forward. So we will go on to the next slide here. This is our order of operations. This is the welcome. Thank you everyone again for being on. We're going to go briefly over how the Iowa Caucus works, but more importantly, the strategy and how we win. From how we win, we will move into sort of the crux of our program here in Iowa, the engagement canvassing, what we do at the doors, and how our approach is different than other campaigns and other candidates. We have a special candidate, so we're running a special program, and that special program cannot be done without each and every one of you on the call and each and every one of you here in Iowa, across the country and across the world. We're putting humanity first and really moving forward. We got an exciting tool and resource. We've got tons of resources and ways to get our data, but we have a resource called Reach that we'll be going over. Then going to our precinct captains, what their role is, both in these days leading up to, and their role on caucus night. And then we have Call for Yang for all of you here, all of you on the call who are unable to make it out to Iowa and to help us finish our ground game here strong. Then we'll just close the call. So I want to thank everyone again, and we'll jump into how the caucus works. So the process at the caucus is it's unlike a normal voting booth. It's not a private thing here. This is a public forward-facing. You stand in the corner of or sort of the portion of the room in groups, sort of identifying who your choice is for president. So it's a very public thing, and it's something that we are shaping all of our messaging around this public show display of your Yang Gang pride. What is very important for our Iowans on the call, you arrive no later than 6:30. The doors lock firmly at 7. If you are getting out of your car at 7:01, even if the precinct chair sees you, by law, they are not able to let you in. The temporary, after everyone gets in the door, those that are in line before 7 o'clock will be allowed in. After you are allowed in, the temporary caucus chair will call the meeting. There's some formalities for the party structure, which is the election of the caucus chair and the vice chair. Then a few other party businesses. They'll do some announcements. If there are any elected officials and or candidates, presidential candidates who are in the precinct location, they too will be able to speak. They will be able to do a few brief announcements, and candidate surrogates and candidate representatives will also have a portion to speak. So the big portion here, next we go into the presidential preference groups. So I'm going to pop to the next slide here. Presidential preference groups. The viability is 15% in most of our precincts. By viability, that means you are able to move on to the second round. In precincts that are awarding delegates of 3 or less, and three of those 3 delegate precincts, that's 16.67%. In 2 delegate precincts, that's 25%, and then majority in those 1 delegate precincts. Math there is based on just the majority of the group for the 2 delegates, 3 delegates that get split, and then the 2 delegates, you gotta get that 25%. So the first round here, the chair will announce that the first round has begun. It'll announce you to go into your preferential groups. At that point, candidates that are not viable, they're sort of in limbo, and we will have the opportunity to pull some people over from our side. So without mentioning, I'm not going to mention any candidates, but there will be people that are stuck in limbo and they need to be persuaded and pulled over to our side. So we'll talk about this a bit in the precinct captain time frame, but this is where the confusion and what you see on videos of the Iowa caucus sort of tend to be. People in the middle, different rowdy groups, and we know the Yang Gang can get rowdy, but we're going to be calm, cool, collected, and telling people why Andrew is the best choice for president. After that, we will move into the second round groups. After the second round, there is no realignment. You have the first alignment. Those that are non-viable go to preference. They're in the middle in that limbo period. Then you get to the second round. Those groups will reform, join another group, and that is where the delegates are awarded and reported. That's where this precinct map comes in, and the viability and what delegates you get. And this is key to our targeting as to perhaps which precincts we're going to attack and go a little harder in to make sure that we can get to that viability and perhaps break the threshold to the next delegate, and which ones perhaps we are not physically staffing and targeting a bit more. This is much different than a primary. Like I said, this is not a private ballot. This is public. It can be long. There are some stories you may see if you're after this. You want to search for the Iowa caucus. There's some really long ones. There's some very quick ones. It sort of depends on your precinct size, how many people, and what the party processes are going on at your specific location. The third point here I really want to drill down on is that second choices are critical. As I said, there will be some groups and people that are stuck in limbo, because perhaps in their individual precinct, the candidate that they have come to caucus for is not viable, meaning they did not hit that 15% threshold. So that's going to be where our precinct captains, our team, and just the overall energy that we're building here in Iowa is going to get us over that hump and bring those uncommitted at that point voters to caucus goers to our side. With the after the second choices, this is why our messaging, what we're doing, everything is so critical to talking to our neighbors, being welcoming and being persuaded, which gets into sort of my favorite portion, the engagement canvas, which is soon to come. So the strategy of how do we do this? How do we get people to show up to this caucus, to your precinct location? How do we get them to come out on a cold? It's snowing here currently. I think it's supposed to snow for the next 3 or 4 days, actually. But how do we do that on February 3rd? Get people to leave their comfy and cozy homes, get out in the cold, stand in line perhaps, and then show publicly amongst all their friends and neighbors that we are their favorite choice, that we are their first choice, or perhaps that we should be their choice for president. This is our strategy. So this is the outline. We're going to define what winning looks like. There are so many different sort of narratives that come out of Iowa, as it is the first state. We're going to talk about our targeting and layering, the factors that go into that. A brief slide on the Caucus Historics, just to see sort of the demographic and breakdown of what likely caucus goers tend to be. And how we yang Iowa, which is all leading into our path to victory, and how on the night of February 3rd, we emerged victorious, thus shocking the world. So, what winning looks like, again. This is outperforming expectations. Everyone always talks about this ticket out of Iowa. Can you launch with momentum to get into the other 3 early states with enough to power into Super Tuesday? We know we certainly will, and we've been outperforming expectations at every turn. I want to point to an event that was going on today, midday. This is Wednesday. It is snowing, some wet, heavy snow in Decorah, Iowa. We had over 250 people in the middle of the day on a Wednesday, in a snowy day, to come hear Andrew. So our message, the energy here, everything is spreading, and people mentioned peaking at the right time. We're on an upward trajectory that is not going to stop. And I want to thank everyone again who was on this call for helping us be on pace for that trajectory and to shock the world, to beat expectations left and right. Every day we are outperforming expectations, and that is not going to stop on February 3rd, but it is your help that's going to get us that shining moment on February 3rd to move forward. After that, we are launching Andrew into the top tier, and then we are really cooking with gas as we get to these early states and move forward to Super Tuesday. So targeting and layering, concentrating our forces. This is perhaps one of the most crucial points into our plan. It is critical that we hit that 15% in our targeted precincts. So not 7%, not 12%, not even 14% statewide. While that is, it's decent, it looks nice, what we want to do is show that we are winning and we have the strategy. We are the math campaign, so we want to show that we are moving forward and using that math, that data that we have to put forth a plan that does just that and outperforms expectations, launches us into the top tier, and shows the rest of the country that we are a force to be reckoned with. So what this looks like is our staff, our volunteers, our paid media, our candidate events. As I mentioned, Andrew was in Decorah, Iowa this morning. We're on our tour here, and we are hitting all over the state. But there's no better resource or tool than the candidate's time. So we're very fortunate to have him here in Iowa until the caucus is helping us really crush down on these targeted precincts and make sure that we are doing just that we need to do to get to victory. So the factors that go into these targeting decisions, a pace to goal. We set goals for ourselves in terms of what numbers we need to turn out in these specific precincts in order to be successful, and the success that we have defined that will put us into the top tier and make everyone know that we mean business. Caucus commits. Most everything we are doing is centered around getting someone to tell us verbally that they commit to caucus. If they're willing to tell us face to face when we're at their door or we're over the phone with them that, hey, I am willing to caucus for Andrew, that's about a portion of what needs to be done on caucus night. If they're willing to tell you at the door, or we meet them out at your local coffee shop, we meet them at the diner, they tell us, hey, I think I could commit to caucus for that guy. That's half the step there. They're willing to tell you. Now we've got to get that energy for them to tell their friends, their family, their neighbors in their precinct location on the night of February 3rd that Andrew is, in fact, their first choice. Ones and twos. So we'll go over this a bit more in depth when we go to our engagement program, but we rank our voters. We don't give them the binary of do you like Andrew or not. Fortunately for us, we've got an amazing candidate, an amazing human being that does not have those those visceral reactions where people think, I don't know what I think about that Andrew guy. He's a likable guy. And our name recognition is just growing exponentially. People know who he is now. Now it's really getting that substance to him, that not only is he a likable human, a very nice, a very great father and husband, and just overall human, as I said, but now why he should be the choice, your first choice, Iowan's first choice for president. Number two, the forgotten voters in counties. We are very pleased to say that we are going where other campaigns are not. We are talking to Obama-Trump voters. We're talking to voters who have left the party. We're talking to Republicans and independents. We're talking to all types of caucus goers because Andrew has that appeal. That's why there's so many different types of people on this call. When you see what's your average Yang Gang, there is no average look of the Yang Gang. We are all ages, all gender identifications, all races. We are just one single unit, and it's a beautiful thing to see. So we're going places where other campaigns are not. We're talking to other voters that other campaigns are not, and we're bringing in new electorates, which brings me to number three, expanding the electorate. We're reaching new voters. We're going places where other campaigns are not. We're being able to communicate with other voters that other campaigns are not, both digitally, virtually, and in person. We are both physically and in our targeting through other methods, as the last slide showed. We were paid and digital. We're going different ways. We have a different approach. We have a different candidate. So we've got a different strategy, which is going to yield different results and be successful for us. The Caucus Historics. As you see here, this is just a little breakdown of what the turnout has been like, some key insights into caucus demographics, the percentage breakdown of the ages, races, and genders based on some statistical data that we have here. But I want to point back to that, like, there is no average look of a Yang Gang. We are anyone and we are everyone, and we're welcoming of all. So that slide is just to show that our campaign, we're doing things differently, and we're going to get different results, and it's going to be successful for us. Now, what we hear about on Twitter, on Reddit, our team loves, we're yanging people. We are interacting with our friends and family. We're interacting with strangers. We are yanging, you are yanging on a daily basis out in your states, your neighborhoods, your communities. How do we yang here in Iowa? Our path to victory. All of this is geared around how we win and how we shock the world. Our turnout ones. As I said, we rank our voters. We ensure that every single supporter gets a commit to caucus ask. We double, triple check at each event when they leave and they have Andrew as their first choice. We are right there. Our great field staff is right in front of those voters. Really shoring up that support. We make sure that our supporters understand how to caucus, and then one of the most important parts, making sure they go to caucus. So it's not enough to just tell us, oh, I'm all in, I like Andrew. A retweet is not a caucus, is not a commit to caucus, it's not going to caucus. While you can tell us over the phone, you can write emails, you can post online, we need you in that gym, in that elementary school, wherever your caucus location is. We need you to show that support out in public and really bring it home for us. Moving twos really bring support home for us. So, the twos, as I keep saying, we're ranking our voters, not giving them the yes, no, will I for Andrew, will I, well, I won't for Andrew. We want to see where they're feeling about him. Moving those twos into one. We have a wonderful field program here where we are engaging, and really it's meeting people where they are. It's having discussions. We're engaging with those who have chosen Andrew as their second choice and having a real conversation with them as to why he should be their first, and as to what perhaps Andrew can do for their life. So, the engagement canvassing, the conversations that we have at the doors. And we emphasize the doors over the phones. Granted, if you're in Iowa, there's a slide where we'll go through how you can help from outside of Iowa, as I've said. But the doors, for those of you that are unaware, the door knocking is the most effective way to persuade and to talk to voters. You're meeting them where they are, you're meeting them at their home, and you're having that face-to-face interaction. Some people can pitch well over the phone and talk about Andrew, but really seeing and feeding off of that passion and energy face-to-face is what our ideal strategy is. And in going to these areas where other campaigns are not, each day we get stories of voters telling us, no one's walked down this quarter-mile lane in a while to talk to me about a candidate. I think I like your guy. I think I might be caucusing for him. That is what we're doing. We are not only talking literally and right to the voters that have been forgotten and don't really get mentioned, but we're engaging with them in all sorts of levels and really trying to bring the humanity back to this political process. So, in our engagement process, we ask this of all of our volunteers, we ask this of all of our staff, what made you decide to support Andrew? How are his policies, his proposals set that you like to protect you and your family? Maybe it's that if you or a family member were to incur a serious, unfortunate medical encounter that requires medical attention, you have to choose between paying those medical bills and keeping your lights on. And that's where UBI comes in. How has your family been impacted by politics? We have activated, Donald Trump has helped activate new Democrats everywhere, but will those Democrats be as activated a few years later? I can tell you that the ones that support Andrew certainly are, and that's why we are getting his message and getting that energy out to everyone. What values are you connected to? Something that is a part of our engagement program is attaching those values that Andrew represents, those values that our team represents, and attaching those to individuals. Goes from having a name on a list, a name on our canvassing app minivan, to a real person in front of you with hopes, dreams, fears that we have, and it's okay to be scared. Everyone has hopes. Everyone's a little fearful for the future, but that's why we're doing this, because we want to make a better future for next future generations, for ourselves. We are all doing this for the right reasons, and Andrew has those in mind as well. So, how can you get involved? If you go to yangnearme.com/IA, you're going to see a wonderful map like this. To the left, it has all of our field offices, and the big top button is an Iowa plan, very similar to what's going on over here. But if you can go to that office, it will have a contact information, or this slide right here. You can go to yangnearme.com/IA. It will have this map, and it will tell you how to get directly plugged in with our team right away. So, as I mentioned, we have tons of resources and tools to help us talk to these voters, to help us identify these voters. But one that we are very, very excited to have is Reach. And this is yanging out in the wild. As I said, what's been a phenomenon over the internet is us yanging, people retweeting and posting. Like, I was in an Uber today and I yanged my Uber driver. He's going to caucus for Andrew. He's going to vote for Andrew. He's looking into Andrew. What Reach gives us the ability to do is to provide us with the data of all registered voters in Iowa. So we're able to look them up. Let's say again, you're at the diner. You're wearing your math T-shirt. Your server comes up, says, "What's that math? Are you a student?" Or, no, this is Make America Think Harder. Let me tell you a little bit about Andrew Yang. You have a great conversation with that person. You yang them in the wild. The Reach app can help you log and easily find voter information. We look that person up. We ask them how they feel about Andrew, and you give our field team yet another ID to work with. The ones and twos we're talking about, those IDs, that lack of a binary choice in a ranking system, gives our field team so much to work with in terms of moving these people up the chain and interacting with voters. It is all about getting that ranking and then letting our field team come in and do what they do best and communicate with voters about Andrew and why he is the best choice. So if you are to, there's another link over here to the left of your screen. It's going to be bit.ly/yang_reach_guide. That is right there. That's just going to be how you can look into the Reach document. Maybe you're on your flight here, you're driving. Hopefully you're not looking at it while you're driving, but your passenger is looking at it. You guys are talking about where you want to go. You stop at a gas station, first thing you get in Iowa. You're so excited. The cashier is like, what's this math pin you got? And you talk about Andrew. You get that ranking. Then our field team is able to follow up with this person and say, hey, it looks like you were recently surveyed. You were interested in hearing about Andrew. Let's talk to you about him. And that's what we do. So, where to use Reach? Anywhere. In your Uber or Lyft, the bus, the train, wherever you're at the diner or at the bar, the grocery store, really anywhere in Iowa when you are communicating with someone. And where this is something to emphasize human interaction and communication. We will have to pull out a screen to do the logging, but it does encourage just human interaction, something that we are lacking. It's something that putting humanity first is just communicating with your fellow human, the person you're sharing a physical space with, having a conversation, talking about Andrew, and then logging that information so we can track that down and follow up with that voter. Reach, there's a note here, and as field director, I would not be doing my job if I did not say that Reach is meant to be a supplemental tool. It is for any time you're not canvassing or phone banking. Now, we have those targeted voters, and we are quite certain with those numbers of targeted voters that we will be successful, but it never hurts to bring new people into the program, to tell more people about Andrew's message, to help them spread the word. So Reach is to be a tool to be used when sort of outside of that 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. time frame that our field team is working away, making sure that we are doing everything we can to talk to voters. The precinct captains. This is the portion when all the reaching is done, all of the calls, there are no doors left to be knocked. We are at Caucus Night. We're talking about our precinct captains, representing the face of Andrew and of this movement on Caucus Night. Being a precinct captain, again, you're representing the team on the night. You are decked out in your Yang merch. We have a very cool Iowa precinct captain hat with the Iowa flag underneath the brim, embroidered Yang precinct captain on the back, and each one of our precinct captains will get one of those. We'll make sure that you are, again, decked out in all sorts of gear to talk to everyone who shows up about Andrew, why they should join the team, and the portion here about keeping in touch with HQ about instructions as the night goes on. The team will keep everyone sort of abreast as to what is best for our precincts and how we can operate to maximize our resources on campaigns, on election night, on caucus night. You're canvassing your precinct. Ideally, you're getting here. You're pumped about Andrew. You're getting home from work, and you say it is 5 o'clock. I know it's getting dark, but I have 11. Well, at this point, just about to be 11 days left. After 9 p.m., we can no longer sort of engage in that direct voter contact. Excuse me, that phone banking and that door-to-door canvassing. However, we can then bring reach out. We can be at your restaurant talking to people. You can be in your public transportation talking to people. So we can continue to reach out to voters via reach in the interpersonal connections. But 9 a.m. to 9 p.m., we're doing that DVC, direct voter contact, to our targeted voters. So, said all that to say, you canvass your precinct. We identify you as a precinct captain beforehand. Leading up to caucus day, you're going to knock on doors. You're going to get to know your neighbors. Something not many people do anymore. Just stopping by your neighbors, introducing yourself. People are moving in and out of neighborhoods. You're talking to those neighbors and persuading them to choose Andrew. In Iowa, everyone, well, not everyone, but in Iowa, people are familiar with the door-to-door canvassing. They're familiar with this presidential process. So it is not, we're not to be afraid to sort of speak about presidential preferences or candidates. I know that's something that our team really doesn't have much trouble with. We're always one to shout from the rooftops the wonderful things that Andrew can do and will do once we get the presidency. But we're emphasizing that you go talk to your neighbors, why they should choose Andrew, and certainly make a plan with them to make sure that they show up to caucus by 6:30 p.m. The nightly trainings. We have our precinct captain trainer, Connor Murphy. He will be conducting nightly trainings at 8 p.m. Central Time here in Iowa, and he'll make sure that you have those resources. It gets you set up with the list of those voters in your precinct, those targeted voters. It gets you the Reach app. It's really a wonderful training, and Connor will make sure, with Connor, you're in good hands to have all the resources that you need to be a precinct captain. So, to be a precinct captain, we're asking you to go to yang2020.com/IA-captain. And that's yang2020.com/IA-captain, as you'll see on your screen. So, you're unable to come to Iowa. You're not in Iowa permanently. You're wondering what you can do to help our field team, to help us gather that data to be successful on caucus night. When you're not physically here, this is the best thing you can do. Again, social media is wonderful. We will take all of the retweets, all of the posts, all of the likes, any social media platform you can do, but that's not going to be a direct contact with a voter. What we need most is for you to hop on a virtual phone bank, we have a dialer system, and help us talk to some voters. Call for Yang. We are IDing. This is the portion about the ranking voters. In our phone calls, in our door knocks, we are asking people to rank Andrew as their first, second, third, fourth, fifth choice. By doing this, we're not giving them the out of the binary, do you like Andrew? Yes, no. You going to caucus for him? Yes, no. It's a real conversation. It's why they would rank him as first, second, third, fourth, or fifth, or undecided. And I really, really want to emphasize here that while it may seem, you may think it's scary to hop on and start talking to strangers, you can be rest assured, look on social media. I saw a wonderful post today about someone who said, if you asked me a year ago, I don't think I'd be doing this, and there's a picture of that woman making calls for Andrew. what we're doing, it is so crucial to get these IDs so that our field team can then have that deeper conversation with these voters. It is a simple 60-second conversation. It is, hey, sir or ma'am, how are you doing today? Do you have 60 seconds to talk about Andrew Yang? If the caucus were today, where do you think you would rank Andrew Yang as your choice? Simply that. It may seem a little scary, but it really is not. It is what is absolutely needed for our team. It is a very fun time once you get to have real conversations with people, to see what they are interested in and what they look for in a president. And chances are, the things that they're looking for, Andrew Yang has. Those are qualities of Andrew Yang. So, you ID the voters so that our team can do our team of organizers, our volunteers, and we have a huge volunteer base that is just chomping at the bit for more and more voters, more and more targets to talk to about Andrew. These are caucus goers. We speak to them, and the persuasion aspect comes from your ID. We get that ID, and we target them, go in, have that conversation, talk to the undecideds, talk to the 2s, the 3s, and we move them up. And we are actually seeing great success with moving these voters. So it's not that you're just gathering, you're having one touch with the voter, you reach out to them, and we don't follow up. Our team is eager, again, so excited to be involved with these, to follow up with your first touch. How you can do that, yang2020.com/call. Just today, we are hitting huge numbers in terms of these dials. We are going through at a quick rate, but there are always more voters to speak to. So we can always have a list available for you, and we will welcome your call. There are some videos at yang2020.com/call. There are videos on how to get set up. There's a whole Slack community. Slack is a sort of communication app that we use with various channels. You'll join the volunteer Slack and just have conversations with tons of Yang supporters across the country and frankly across the world who are helping us do this. So you're looking for encouragement, you join that Slack. You mentioned that you are excited to get involved, and certainly people are going to follow up with you, and they're going to talk you through it. If the guide isn't enough, which certainly it is, the video, the step-by-step guide, in our Slack channel, there will be active members more than willing to walk you through and give you that extra boost of encouragement. And that is our plan. That is how we plan to shock the world. We are going through getting the IDs, doing our engagement. We're talking to targeted specific voters because Andrew's message resonates with everyone. But it resonates with everyone, those that are they're not pleased with the party anymore. They're not pleased with their party. They're just not pleased with the status quo. We've got people converting over. We're not only converting disgruntled people. We've got happy Democrats who were happy with their choice, but then they met Andrew, and they're like, oh, this guy is saying things that resonate with me. He is the only candidate thinking forward for the next, not just 4 years, not thinking about an election cycle. He's thinking about the future of our nation and the future of our world. And that's how we're going to shock the world. So I want to thank everyone for being on this call. Please reference the earlier slides to hop on yang2020.com/call. If you are unable to get to Iowa, we certainly encourage you to get out here for the final 12 days. It is an exciting, exciting time. The energy can be felt at every event, in and out of our offices. Our volunteers, you're going to, anywhere you go, you're going to see a random Yang math hat, Yang shirt. Like, the energy is here. We're out here rolling deep. I hope to see you here. I'm so thankful for our Iowans on the call. We got a bunch of you on the call Monday. I hope more of you are able to join today and just really get a little bit more of a picture as to how we win this, but we cannot win this without each and every one of you. So thank you so much, and see y'all later.